Hello, hello. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. My name is Aldwyn Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, and I'm coming to you all the way from the United States of America, San Diego County, California.
Hi there, and I'm Anne McKeown from Sydney.
And we'll be right back with our hot topic for today, which is all about the truth about reigniting your spark straight after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Oh, yes. Welcome, welcome. And a little bit about our amazing guest today, Anne McKeown. Am I saying that right? Anne McKeown is the founder of To Empower Coaching. As a mindset coach for female business owners, she specializes in helping women shift the BS in their heads so they can move mountains in their life and work. She empowers women to find their inner strength, their authentic self, a positive voice, and powerful choices so they can take back control of their life and business. I love it. Welcome to our special guest, Anne McKeown from Sydney, and Ken Kleinberg, of course, my amazing co-host from San Diego. Great to have you both with us today.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. So, Anne, a little bit about your background. You do have a bit of an accent, and you're in Sydney, Australia. So a little bit about your accent. What brought you to Australia?
Yeah, originally I'm from Scotland, and we came to Australia. My husband was offered a job here, and initially we thought we would just come and experience life down under for a couple of years, and that was 15 years ago. So we fell in love with the people, the weather, the beach lifestyle. We do go home every couple of years, but no, this is where we call home.
Beautiful. And it is a gorgeous.
I was wondering about that accent. I was like, it sounds different.
Yeah. A little bit different to the Aussie accent, the Scottish accent.
Can't get rid of it.
It is. And now I get it because I recognized it. And I was just like, where's that from? Why does that sound so familiar? Yeah. I love Scottish and Irish, and I love all that. So, I mean, that's why it was just, I was like, where's that from? That sounds familiar.
Thank you.
Yes, and Anne and I have bumped into each other over the years at different events, and you're actually from where I grew up. The Northern Beaches area of Sydney is where I spent the first 18 years of my life, and I have some very warm memories from that area. I lived in North Bargalla and Manly, and for those who know the Sydney area, it's a gorgeous part of Sydney, and we are just so blessed in Australia, so many beautiful parts of Australia. So, Anne, what is it that got you into being a mindset coach for female business owners? Is this something you've always been fascinated in, or something that happened more later in life for you?
Look, it's been a bit organic. I actually started my career as a sales coach with BP Oil in the UK. And what I learned through that was that it was always the same people that were successful. No matter what product was being promoted, it was always the same ones that managed to be the top of the leaderboard. And when I got married and had kids, I didn't want to keep in that corporate world. So I did some study around positive psychology, NLP, other kind of therapies, to learn really how the mind works, what motivates people, why is it some people are more successful than others or believe themselves to be. And I then got a job in a high school working with kids who were very disruptive in class. So they were smart kids, but they didn't believe in themselves. They weren't getting much support at home. They didn't have a vision for their future. And really, I took the job because it fitted in with school holidays and school working hours and stuff like that. But watching the change in these kids when they had someone that believed in them and could help them walk alongside them on their journey through school was quite amazing. But I left that to come to Australia, and I didn't work for the first 6 years that I was here. I was a stay-at-home mum, sort of buying the house, the dog, the trampoline, all the things you do. I did a lot of voluntary work in and around the community, and that was great to get to know people and help my kids meet friends. But I then hit 50, menopause. What's my life all about? Living in this beautiful area in a gorgeous house with a great family, but feeling really lost. And quite lonely, actually. And even though I had lots of people around me, I just kind of felt lonely in my own head. And so I went to see a life coach, and I just said to her, I don't know what to do. Like at 50, I still feel I've got a lot to give, but my kids don't need me so much anymore. I had lost touch with technology. I had lost my confidence to go back into corporate, and I didn't really want to do that anyway. And she said to me, why don't you become a coach and teach other women and set up your own business? And I was like, oh my God, there's no way I could do that. So immediately all the fear and the doubt and the lack of belief came in. And when I was thinking about the word business, to me, what came into my head was tax, employees, hard work, long hours, and I said, oh no, there's just no way I could do that. Anyway, so there was a bit of a toing and froing in my own mind, but she'd planted a seed, I think. And then a friend said to me, why don't you start a group for women who are feeling the same way as you? And I thought, oh no. And she said, well, you keep going on about you can't find something like that, so maybe it's up to you to start it. And it's always really challenging when people do that to us, isn't it? Because you think, oh, I want to tag on to somebody else's thing. I don't want to be the one that has to make it all happen. And I didn't know how to, or think it would work, or who would come and want to hang out with me. Anyway, someone told me about meetup.com, and I thought, okay, I'll put out meetup.com. I'll just call it Self-Empowering Women or something. And we'll see if we can get together and help each other. And in the first week of advertising that, I had 60 women sign up. And that spoke volumes to me, that there were lots of women out there in midlife who felt like me and who were looking for personal development, but in a different way, and in a more relaxed, more open, more truthful forum. And so I did that every month for 3 years, actually. And what happened within that was women were saying to me, I don't want to share my problems in a group forum anymore. Would you be able to help me one-on-one? We didn't call it coaching. We didn't call it business. There were no names for it. It was my passion project. And they would come back to house and sit on the sofa, and we'd talk through, and really just all the things I'd learned over the years. I knew more than I realized that I did. And as we all know, it's easier to solve someone else's problems and see how to attack solutions for them than it is to do for ourselves. That's really how my business was born, very organically. And then as they got positive results, they would tell friends and refer people to me. And then my confidence grew, and I did more coaching courses and marketing courses. And here we are. And this is my 8th year now.
Amazing. And I have heard that something special happens when women hit 50, where they suddenly do have this self-empowerment that happens. They don't care what other people think anymore. You know, I've heard from quite a few women that something shifts when you hit 50. And I'm 49 at the moment. I'm 50 in January, which is kind of freaky for me to think I'm almost 50. You know, it's just where did the last 50 years go? It's insane how quick the years go. And I think more and more as we grow older and wiser, we do learn self-empowerment in general, or we don't, right? If we don't learn self-empowerment, then we actually go backwards. And this is where a lot of people go through the midlife crisis as well, because, you know, they suddenly don't know how to handle this next stage of life. And, I want to I want to welcome everyone who's here on the live. Thank you for joining us. I can see Jeff's here from Manila having breakfast in the Philippines. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. He's here on the live. We've got people here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter we're streaming out to today, and, of course, Facebook in several places. So welcome, welcome. If you have just joined us, let us know where are you from? Where are you from? And what would you like to know today around this topic, around reigniting your spark? Now, it's interesting that we even need to reignite our spark because, you know, as kids, we come in and we're so open and ready to take on the world. And I've got someone from Melbourne. Thank you so much. If you let us know who you are, Facebook user, just let StreamYard view your comments. That'd be great. Or just pop in the chat. Let us know who you are so we can share your name as well. That would be awesome, our Melbourne friend. You know, we come in so open and so loving and ready to take on the world as kids and do anything. And you know, so much life in us as children. And somehow it gets shut down and shut down and shut down. And people, you know, they would then have to relearn how to reignite the spark when actually the spark is there the whole time. But somehow we lose track along on the way. So what's your experience of that, Anne? What have you noticed with people? Why does this spark suddenly just disappear?
I think it's what you've just highlighted, that it's external expectations, probably our own internal expectations. And I think it becomes a learned behavior as well. From my example was that my mother suffered from very bad depression. And when I was a teenager, she was put on Valium and became a bit of a robot. And I kind of learned to walk on eggshells and to keep the peace. And I think that learned behavior I then took into my marriage. And what happens in your 50s, and it probably happens to men as well, but definitely for women, we get less estrogen and more progesterone. And I think we become more masculine and maybe less people pleasing. And maybe it's because we're not in that nurturing phase anymore, you know, the sort of carer, mother, homemaker. That was my feeling of it, where I just got to a stage where it was like my whole life I've tried to put others first. That's what I was taught at school. It's what I was taught at church, you know. Looking after everybody else, don't be selfish, don't be a top poppy, and all of those messages. I got a lot of affirmation from and praise for being a good girl and a quiet girl and a studious girl and a homemaker, and so there was a lot of reward for playing that role. But then I realized that I kind of lost myself in among it all. And what I found was when I had this meetup group with these other women, when I was sharing this, they're all going, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And I had gone through a stage of thinking I was weird. Like, I just remember thinking, why do I feel so miserable when I've externally got so much going on that's positive? Internally, between hormones and my own self-talk and my own view of where I was at it, like in life, I just felt a bit miserable. And I just knew, and I didn't want to go down the path of because then I thought, oh, maybe I'm like my mom and I've got depression and I need antidepressants and and that whole thing, there's a magic pill that solves everything. And I saw what it did to her and I just so resisted it. It was like, no, I'm not taking HRT and I'm not taking whatever it was kind of brute force and ignorance. I'm going to fight my way through everything. So the lows were really low. But having come out the other end, the highs are pretty high. because you know that you did it in yourself. And something I would quite like to share with your listeners is that there is no growth without struggle. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons for me, was that, and I say this to the people who I'm working with, if you're in a downtime, welcome it. And I know that's really hard to do, but that whole sit in the mud thing, because you know what? The universe is going to bring you something great, and it's preparing you for it. And I don't know if you know the story of the emperor moth. Do you know that story?
No, I'd love to hear the emperor moth.
Can I quickly share it? Because it really powerfully shows this message. So basically, for an emperor moth to be born, it has to squeeze through its cocoon. So it's in this hard cocoon. It has to break through, and that's a lot of effort. And there's a story that a little boy saw this cocoon lying on the ground, and then could see the moth struggling. So he went and got scissors, and he cut off the end and opened it up so the moth could escape. But when it came out, it couldn't fly. And he went to his mum, and he was crying, and he was saying, oh, I tried to save the moth, but now it can't fly. And his mother explained that the moth has to go through this tiny hole and struggle and push and push and push. And as it does that, the tiny hole squeezes any fluid that's in its wings. And as it squeezes out the fluid, then it can fly. And what had happened was, because the boy had tried to help it, hadn't lost the fluid, its wings were heavy, it couldn't fly. And so it's a bit like he disempowered the moth. And I think one of our biggest things in life is that we think life should be easy. We think if we're having a struggle, it's the end of the world. We think we should be happy every day. We look at other people and we think that they've got life easy. But it actually is the opposite. Life's bloody difficult. For most people, every day, it's just in a different way. We're all struggling with something. And if we could see it as every day is a challenge, but today I had a really good day, or I struggled like that moth, but I was finally able to fly, that's where the joy sits.
Yes, I love that. I'd heard about the butterfly stories before. I didn't realize you were sharing that. I love that. And it's so true that, there's always breakthrough at the end of every breakdown, right? There's always breakthrough. And it's really about how we do the journey of life.
We so avoid the breakdown.
Yes, we tend to avoid it, and like it's a bad thing to have a breakdown, but actually it's very necessary at times, because there's times that our body is telling us things, our mind is telling us things. There's times we need to listen to our body, listen to our emotions, feel the feelings, go through all of that. And I know myself, having had depression over the years, having been through some really dark moments myself, I know I can, I guess, empathize and feel for people who have been in those really dark places and feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it can feel like that, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. However, really embracing the journey, this is something I've been really taking on for myself, because I've realized, I've become conscious of certain habits that I've had where I take on a heap of work and then I'll get into overwhelm. Right. I've noticed myself, I get into overwhelm. I was like, oh my gosh. And then there's the story, or the racket, as they say in Landmark. I've done a lot of personal development work, and Landmark education, they talk about how we're being in life, and they talk about rackets, which are persistent complaints. A persistent complaint I've had is too much to do, not enough time, right? That's been a persistent complaint, too much to do, not enough time. And so this week I've been like, right, that's it. I'm just going to take on enjoying the journey. I'm just going to take on being peaceful in amongst what can seem like chaos sometimes, because it really is about how we're navigating that roller coaster ride of life. And the more stress that we add to the situation, the harder we're making it for ourselves. Whereas if we just sort of sit back for a minute and go, okay, what is this teaching me? And I've just taken on 5 team members as of last week in the business to help alleviate some of the workload. And it seems almost like I'm busier than ever, because I'm training them as well. And so I've actually added more pressure into the situation. However, I know the longer term goal will actually alleviate some of the roles that I'm doing now by having, extra team members. However, initially there is that little bit of perturbation, a little bit of struggle. It's like a baptism of fire sometimes until we get the learnings, right? And really embracing that whole journey, and how is this happening for me, not to me, right?
Yes.
How's it happening for me, not to me? And our user, Facebook user from Melbourne, hello, Cheryl Meldrum. Hello, Cheryl, from Melbourne. Welcome, welcome. Jeff's saying here, reward yourself weekly for small wins. Yes, and in fact, daily even, Jeff, like at the end of the day. So what am I grateful for today that I've achieved today? And I've actually been doing this more as well as a practice. Get to the end of the day and look back, okay, what am I proud of my achievements from today? Because there's always going to be more to do. There's always more to do. And then in the morning, before I get out of bed, I just think to myself, what am I grateful for? And I stretch my body out. I think I'm grateful for my feet, for my skin, for my body. I'm great. Just rattling off all these things I'm grateful for before I even get out of bed. These are some of the empowering practices that have helped me reignite my spark in my life. And Ken, I can see you're dying to say something there. So over to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of chomping at the bit. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys are talking about embracing. You guys are talking about all that. And Aldwyn, you know me well enough. You know, like I've got a very, strong view on this. So, and I didn't get a chance to tell you in the beginning. I told you that I launched my own brand and company in summer of 2020. What I didn't get to tell you is a little bit of my story behind that. So I've lost 62.5 pounds and kept it off for over 5 years now. And what I do is I teach other people how to do exactly the same thing.
Great.
The big part of that, and this is where my philosophy and passion comes from. See, I've been able to keep my weight off and keep it off for good and have that happen in a very easy way. Like I don't really have to think about it. I don't struggle with it, you know. It's just who I am. That's because the journey I took back there was a slow process. When I began my weight loss journey, I decided that I wanted to do it my way. I didn't want to go on a diet. I didn't want to dive into all that again. I didn't want to be restricted. I didn't want all that. So I embarked on that journey. It took me 5.5, 6 years to lose that weight. But, you know, and I kind of think some people might go, why in the world did it take you so long to lose 62.5 pounds? Well, why the hell not? Because you know something, what happened? Because I took my journey one piece at a time, one habit at a time, and it was sustainable and I did it my way. I customized it. I didn't have to upturn my life and I took it in slow steps. What that allowed me to do is then literally transform psychologically and mentally into the person that I needed to become for the end goal. So when I finally reached the end goal, everything about the psychological and mental part of it had changed. All the new habits I had developed, everything that I had learned have now literally become part of who I was.
Yeah.
So now I take that to people and I'm going, look, you cannot approach your journey. You cannot approach your weight loss like a diet. And the reason for that is a diet literally skips the journey of becoming, literally skips the journey of learning. It skips the journey of embracing. Another thing that I embark to my clients, and this is a very, very strong pillar to my program, is embracing both the ups and the downs, but especially the downs, especially the weak moments. Why? Because that is your opportunity to now grow, learn, get stronger, get wiser. That's your learning point. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy all the time, but you get to learn from that. And I use that word specifically too. You get to learn from that. You get to embrace that. That's also part of what's called the growth mindset. A lot of people approach their weight loss journey with a fixed mindset. They think it's static. It's, if I can't lose this weight and if I can't keep it off, I've been through diet and diet, I guess it's just not meant for me to be. What a fixed mindset person doesn't get is that there's an opportunity to grow and to learn to get that skill. The growth mindset person literally runs into their journey expecting those challenges, expecting those weak moments, because they know that is their opportunity to be challenged and to grow and to get stronger. So yeah, I definitely have a huge passion behind this. You know, so I mean, when you said the phrase, there is no growth without struggle, I was just like, oh, boom, right on, perfect. You know, because that's what it's all about. And it's so sad to me to see how many people just like, they want to lose weight, but they just go on another diet and they don't get it. They don't get that you're throwing away so much treasure. You're throwing away so many gems. You're throwing away so much richness. When you get to the end goal in your journey and you reach that weight goal that you want to get to, there's going to be a celebration about that. Yes. But the most important and treasured stuff is going to be as you look back on that journey and go, oh, I remember that moment. I learned this and this happened because of that. I remember this. I reached that milestone and I remember that was because I learned this. That's the treasure.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I'm going to get off that bandwagon.
Yeah. And I would agree with you 100% there. And I think it's funny because once I started to get clients, I then started to follow all these gurus, and I almost, I sort of kept getting templates of everything, you know, templates of how to be a coach, templates of how to market your business, templates of, and every time I followed someone else's template, it didn't work for me. And I almost felt more of a failure halfway through my business than I did at the beginning, because I started to listen to other people. And what you just said about your weight loss journey was that it was what way would work for you. And so I did about 3 years of following gurus and templates. And I just thought, and I probably was so frustrated and less genuine, and it didn't work. I was attracting less clients. And I thought, I have to go back to just being me and authentically sharing my story and showing women what worked for me, but helping them find what works for them, not necessarily that they then have to do it my way. And I think it's a big trap we all fall into in you know, marketing these days for things like diets and making money overnight and whatever. They, you know, they're very compelling, but there's not much truth to them. And I know you guys are all about finding the truth. Can I share one other thing that really made a difference for me, and I think people might find this helpful? I had to go to my family and say, I'm at the stage right now where I could divorce all of you, kids as well. I was like, I have had enough. I feel like Cinderella. I just do all the cooking and the cleaning, and I just don't want to do it anymore. And that was a bit of a shock for them. And they liked it that I was the one that did, you know, I'd love to have a wife like me, you know, somebody at home making things nice. And it was all they knew, because that was the role that I played. And I wanted to up until then. And the problem was that they hadn't changed. It was me that had changed. And as we know, people don't like change, and especially if it's not their idea. And so our communication had to step up tenfold for me to communicate with my husband and my kids. How do we get through this together without me throwing the baby out with the bathwater? So I think whatever journey you're on, who is there because we think, oh, I'm going to get rid of all of them and then my life will be fine. And actually, that's often not the case, because we take our problems with us, we take our attitudes with us. But in this journey and in this struggle, if we can learn to be honest with ourselves and be honest with other people, because I used to not really say the truth because I didn't want to hurt people, and I've learned over the years that you can actually speak the truth without being hurtful. You know, you can say it in such a way that actually can help the other person grow as well. And at the time, I came up against a lot of resistance with my family. And we started to have family meetings once a week, like the way you would have a business meeting. And we would talk about, you know, what do you need from the family this week? But also, what can you contribute to the family this week? And we'd write notes, and we'd come up with plans, and each week we would refer back to that. And it was one of the biggest things that helped my kids grow as well. They say to me now, 8 years on, "Oh, Mum, we remember that phase." And they didn't mind doing these meetings because I always made it that we would get takeaway dinner that night and we would play a game. So just Scrabble or something. We would do it on a Sunday afternoon. And so it had to be a bit of fun as well. But they then started to be more independent and take responsibility for their lives to free me up so I could discover me again. And I think being able to have those honest conversations with yourself and others. I mean, I remember saying to my husband, "How did it end up like this? How did I end up like Cinderella?" And he said, "I don't know." And nobody deliberately put me in that position. It's probably a lot to do with myself not being honest when I was disgruntled about things. I became a bit of a martyr, and that was miserable for everybody. And it was hard for me to admit that, and even harder to change that behavior. And it's like you said, Ken, it was a gradual thing, like daily. Speak your truth, feel it in your body. If you're getting that sense of either anger or anxiety, tell people in a calm way that this is how it's making you feel, and how can you together work through it.
Absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to add in there is, life's going to throw all kinds of curveballs at you. There's going to be lots and lots of challenges, lots of moments where you're just like, I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be doing this. And that's another thing that I teach and I instill in the clients that I work with is your power of choice.
Yes.
The circumstance itself is not going to go away, but you have a choice. You can either, one, choose to be a victim of that circumstance and let that circumstance control you, let that circumstance run you, let that circumstance overwhelm you with your emotions, or you can make a choice and pivot in another direction. That doesn't mean the circumstance has gone away. It's still there, storming in the background, trying to get your attention back. But once you take control back of your power of choice, you are now in the driver's seat.
Yeah. But often we don't think we have a choice, because often we'll have parents or school teachers or people in authority, kind of whispering in our ear, or actually loudly saying. And one of the things that I found through my journey was about giving myself permission again to make decisions, to have a choice, to speak up, to displease people. And it was actually groundbreaking once I realized that I did have a choice, and that I gave myself permission to make choices, even if it didn't please others. That was quite a breakthrough. And a lot of the women that I see, they're like, "Oh, I don't know," because they've got those old pathways in the brain saying, no, come back onto this old path, because that's the comfortable way that and again, like you said, it's a daily practice.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
I'm loving this conversation. We've got Cheryl here saying, "I had a major breakdown yesterday. I reached out for help and the GP gave me Valium." Here we go. Quick fix. Take a pill. You'll be right, mate. It's a bit like lap band surgery if you're fat, right? Just put the lap band on there and let's see what happens. And often I find people with lap band surgery, it doesn't last, right? So there's another point. That's the quick fix Valium. How quick are people to just give the pill, take the pill, and she'll be right, mate? I didn't take it. She said she didn't take it. Good on you, Cheryl. Didn't take it. And the universe sent me to your live. I really need to hear all of these brilliant life-changing journeys. Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing.
Cheryl, I want to speak to that just a moment. I definitely resonate with what Aldwyn said. Congratulations for not taking that volume. This is another thing that really fires me up is when I see stuff like this happen, like what happened to you. The doctors out there, the medical industry out there, they are literally not trained in any kind of real nutrition, any kind of real help. They are literally trained in the industry to Oh, you have this problem? Okay, take this now. Oh, you have this problem? Okay, I'm going to write you a prescription for this. This is the way they handle problems. And because of that, these doctors might be well-intentioned in their heart, but are totally blinded and are totally ignorant to what really to what a real solution would be. And it's unfortunate. So, Cheryl, just the fact that you are here, you are correct. You know, you have been led here to hear this and to get some real encouragement, and stand in your power. You do have a choice, even sometimes when it doesn't feel like you do. Like Anne said, you do have that power of choice. You are in control of that. Life is going to happen around you. You can't control that. What you can do is what you're going to do about it. That's what you can control. So,
can I share something as well for Cheryl? Thank you for your honesty, Cheryl, because this is all about speaking the truth, and it's hard to speak the truth. One of the big things that I learned was the connection between the mind and the body. So when the mind is feeling down, and our self-talk is negative, then the body becomes, the emotion it creates is almost one of sadness and heaviness. And so sometimes we need to use the mind to push the body. So Ken probably did this when he was doing his weight loss thing. Other times we need to use the body to uplift the mind. And whether that's through like an exaggerated fast breathing, or getting out and walking in nature, or something that will shift your state, because just as saying, oh, you'll feel better tomorrow is not enough. I would like to encourage you to go and learn some techniques and to understand how your body and your mind speak to one another, and what patterns that you've learned over time that could be a bit negative, and techniques that can, before you go down that negative spiral, because that's what used to happen to me. And then it was such a struggle to climb back out of that. But if you can learn to shift your mindset quickly, or shift your body quickly, one will enhance the other. And I've got some free resources and stuff I can share with you if that's helpful.
I just also want to add in there, that's I don't want to like be like some kind of spoiler or anything like that here, but Cheryl, also remember that this is not going to be an overnight process. Learning to make that mind-body connection, and learning to be aware of your sabotaging chatter that goes on back here all the time, learning to be aware of that and learning to punch through that and stuff like that. It does take a little bit of work. Can you do it? Absolutely. I definitely believe you can.
With help, though, I would encourage you to have someone to walk alongside you on that journey, because it's very difficult to do it on our own. Even as a coach, I still feel like, you know, I have a coach that helps me, because we all have blind spots, and it's very hard for us to see our own blind spots. And sometimes we need someone else to reflect back to us. So even if it's a really good friend, or you know, somebody that can walk alongside you on this lengthy journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add, you're not alone. Look, if you're watching this right now or listening to this, you've been drawn here for a reason, and you're definitely not alone. There's times we all have really low moments. We all have breakdowns. And remember, there are breakthroughs at the end of every breakdown if you just persist, be patient with the journey, be patient with yourself, practice some self-care if you need to. In fact, I put a post on social media just in the last week saying ways to feel better instantly. If you're feeling overwhelmed, there's things you can do, like take some deep breaths, as Anne said, do yoga, go to the beach, get out in nature, appreciate some animals, you know, whatever it is for you that gives you joy. It might be cooking something. It might be preparing a beautiful meal and getting creative like that. It could be listening to some music. It could be just resting. You might need to sleep, right? You might just need rest. You might just need to nurture yourself and take some time out. You might want to do some journaling, right? There's so many things we can do to help shift our state. However, sometimes you just need to rest, and maybe it's time. Your body's just saying, just take some time out, just nurture yourself. And I know there's times that when I've been in breakdown, I have just slept for ages. I've not wanted to get out of bed. And then, eventually I'll sort of get myself out of bed and, and come back to gratitude again. And I always find whenever I'm in breakdown, there's no gratitude going on when I'm in breakdown. I'm generally whinging about something in my head or complaining or, whether it's the state of the world or whatever it is, there's always some kind of persistent complaint going on underneath the breakdown, whether I'm conscious of it or not conscious of it. And I think this is half the thing, is actually just getting conscious of it. So I want to thank you for that. And we've got another Facebook user here says, Cheryl, thank you so much. It's like you know exactly what I'm feeling. And this is the beautiful thing. When people share their truth, it suddenly brings other people out of the woodwork to say, yeah, I actually feel that way too. And to actually get that you are not alone. And this Facebook user that's joined us, we would love to see who you are. So please either pop your name
it's the same person.
Pop your name in the chat.
Yeah, okay. It's Cheryl. It's the same person. Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's saying that to Anne. Okay. Got you. All right. So Cheryl's saying that to Anne. Mate. Thank you so much. It's like, exactly. Okay. Got you. Well, I'm sure there's others watching this also. Yeah. There's others there also, I'm sure, that know exactly how you feel, Cheryl. And please just allow StreamYard to see your comments. You'll see it at the top of the stream there. Just say allow, and then we'll be able to see your face pop up on the screen as well. She says, yes, we need to make it a daily habit. Make it a daily habit. So that might be Cheryl again there. And then we've got Brant here on LinkedIn, right on Ken. He says, hi, Aldwyn. Hi, Brant. Good to see you. Brant Markle there on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you're joining us from, we love to make this an interactive show. So please pop your comments in there. What are your thoughts about this? How you can reignite the spark in your life. I think we've given some awesome strategies straight away. And I think I'll just add 3 things here that I got from, I've done many different courses too, Anne, and I love how you mentioned how, everyone's got their template on how to live an amazing life, and that's their experience. It's not necessarily going to work for you, and that's where doing the inner work and having that quiet time to actually really sit with, what do I really need right now? What do I really want right now? What do I want for my life, right? And actually, rather than being like Groundhog Day every day, how often are we in Groundhog Days? So it feels like you wake up and then it's time to go to bed again, right? And doing the same old. And sometimes we've got to step off that hamster wheel, step off that wheel to actually go, okay, let's just take a moment here and reassess life and reassess, what I'm doing in life. Do I feel like Cinderella right now, as Anne said? And so three things I'll bring quickly from one of the courses I did, which was with Authentic Education. And Ben Harvey, who runs that, he says there's 3 steps to healing, 3 A's to healing. The first is awareness. The first being aware of your situation. Awareness is the first thing. The next thing is acceptance, actually accepting your situation exactly as it is, exactly as it isn't. Don't be hard on yourself. Notice if you are being hard on yourself and let that go, right? And just accept that, hey, everything's brought you to this point right now where you are in life. And hey, many people didn't make it past yesterday. So the fact you're here on the earth right now is an absolute blessing. So next is acceptance. And the third step to healing is appreciation. Okay, the minute we come to appreciation and we actually, so we're aware, we accept what's going on and we appreciate it, that's when you'll get the healing. When you look for the lessons in everything is there for you. It's not happening to you. You're not the victim of your circumstances, right? You actually have a complete say in how you do your life. And it's a moment by moment choice that you have in every moment that you can actually shift your state and shift your life in any moment. And if it's to be, it's up to me, they say, right? And you are the one that takes you through this whole journey, as Anne said. So back to you, Anne, on this topic here, how to reignite your spark and the truth about that. What are some other strategies that you might give people and some other ideas on how to reignite their spark if they're feeling a little bit flat right now?
I think one thing that I did, an exercise I did is, what does my ideal day look like? And it wasn't laundry and washing and whatever. And I started to think of, what lights me up? What would create a spark in me to get me going again? And I started to also look at my strengths. What am I naturally good at? Why did my business take off early in the early days? What did I do naturally without thinking? And I think when we play to our strengths, then that gives us confidence, and that confidence gives us a new lease of life. I think what happens when we feel depressed is that somebody or something is actually pressing down on us. We are depressed, and we need to get rid of that weight, discover what that weight is, get rid of it, stop carrying it, make a conscious decision to stop carrying it, and then look at your strengths and your ideal day. And then have one thing a day that just brings you joy, that you just think, I am just doing this for me. And for me, that was a really hard exercise, because I actually thought I was being selfish. So then the next thing was learning the difference between being selfish and having self-interest. And that actually, when my cup's full, I was a better mother and a better wife because I was happy. And I looked at also at the wheel of life, where there's a bit of everything. I had very little exercise in my life at that point. And now I go kayaking twice a week. And that time on the water with other people, I got fitness and friendship and a sense of freedom through doing that. And when I come in after doing that, my spark is on fire, because it just lights me up inside. And then people can benefit from the ripple effect of that. So what is it for you that's pulling you down? Is it your finances? Is it your relationship? And is it your, and the whole blaming and shaming somebody else? Because for me, for years, it was all my husband's fault. And I'll tell you something, he ain't changed much. I'm the one that's changed, and I've brought him on the journey with me. So, I look at what's your ideal day. The other thing is what's missing. What's missing from your life. Make that your mission. So there's a heap of things to. I think one of the hardest parts is doing it on your own. You don't really know what questions to ask or where to start. Or, I mean, a lot of mine came through the coaching, the courses, meeting other people, sharing with them. So I think getting people around you who also spark your interest. Like I love being in your company, Aldwyn. I find when I'm with you that you're full of life and you uplift me. And if we're with people who are kind of a bit down and judgmental all the time, or they're negative about us, or about themselves, that energy can be very draining. So surround yourself with people that go to a comedy show. They used to teach in psychology that when you were angry and sad and whatever, it would be punch a pillow or scream or whatever. They don't teach that anymore, because it's using negativity to solve a negative problem. They're actually now teaching use positivity. So watch a YouTube video that makes you laugh, because that's using the body to switch the mind. You can't be happy and sad at the same time. You can't be lit up and empty at the same time. It's one or the other. And yes, it's a choice, but we have to take action for that choice. You have to choose to do something to make that shift.
I definitely agree with that and resonate with that. However, what I will say is there are times like when I am frustrated or something's going on, and I'll often find, like I'll release some of that frustration at the gym. And I actually find it's really helpful to channel that into energy at the gym. Some might laugh at this, but one of the things that I love, especially for my cardio routine, I love using very explosive movements. Because there's just such an adrenaline rush that comes into play with that. There's all the whatever happy endorphins and whatever you want to call them that happens in your body when you're at that extreme stage in your exercise. But one of the favorite things that I love to do is I love taking a slam ball and I love throwing it at a wall. I love slamming it into the ground. I mean, one, it's just totally fun and it's something I enjoy. But two, I remember a trainer that I had way back, quite a few years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And, the picture she used to use is she's like, put a target right there on the ground, right there. Now put somebody's face in there that you want to slam. And then you just take the ball and you just slam it down on the ground as hard as you can. I mean, it's fun, and that does help to release frustration or whatever.
Using the body to shift the mind. Yeah.
Yep.
And release dopamine and yeah. The chemical understanding is the next thing, and hormones, and we've got so much that affects us that we're not aware of. So many external events, and that's another thing actually, is that sometimes you have to protect yourself from all that external stuff. One of the things I share is that, imagine that you're in a bubble and you have this protective bubble around you. And in your bubble is your happy place, your calm, content place. And if you imagine on the outside of that bubble, it's almost like mirrored. So if someone draws you a dirty look, it bounces straight back at them. And nothing can penetrate their bad energy, their bad language, nothing can penetrate. And so it just keeps you protected and safe and calm in your bubble.
And remember that hurt people, my friends. Hurt people,
That's
hurt
right.
people. I used to, years ago, I used to do door-to-door sales, one of the most challenging things you'll ever do. And we used to have a team huddle in the morning, and we'd put this invisible suit on. We'd pretend to wear this invisible suit, and we'd put it on, and it was called a shit suit. And what that shit suit was is any shit that came our way would just bounce off, right? Don't take other people's crap on board. And kind of like your bubble you're talking about now is actually having that protective energy, I think, is so important. And notice, are there people in your life that are lifting you up and encouraging you on this journey, or are there people that are really draining your energy? And if they are, which sometimes these people are family, you might want to minimize your time with those people, or speak your truth to them and just say, look, I'm finding your energy very draining. How about go and do something that lights you up, reignite the spark in your life? Maybe watch the Total Truth Show episode 30.
Right.
Look at ways light yourself up, have some fun with it. And one thing I've realized on this self-worth, self-love journey, which is really one of the most important things I believe that we will ever do in our life, is actually loving ourselves fully, is that self-discipline leads to self-worth. The more self-disciplined I am in my life, the more self-worth I have, which is really interesting, because I have resisted. My dad always said to me growing up, Aldwyn, you got to be disciplined, you got to be organized. And there's part of me that was really resisting that. And I've realized more as I've grown older. Now I get what he's talking about, right? And there's some areas of my life I've been very organized, and some areas I really haven't. And the more I honor my word, the more I'm in integrity with myself around what I say I want for my life and what I'm going to do with my life. And that could be going to the gym 3 times a week, right? The more I honor that for myself, the better I feel, the more self-worth I have, the more self-love I have. And that ripple effect, of course, affects everyone around us.
Yeah.
So, Anne, what else can people do who might be feeling a bit low? What are some other strategies, techniques? How do you work with clients to work through some of these things?
Look, I think one of the things is to reach out. I think when we're feeling low, we tend to distance ourselves. We think, I can't be bothered meeting friends. I can't be bothered going to things. I'll just lie and watch telly. And there is a time for that when you're exhausted and whatever. But I think reaching out and asking for help, and I know GPs do their best, but they haven't got the time to listen. And what a lot of women will say to me is that nobody listens. I just feel so alone. I just feel so lonely, and I'm struggling on my own. And, so find a group or someone that is happy to, and also somebody skilled, because also you can find that, friends will be lovely and they'll tell you all the things that they want you to hear, but really to get that shift and that growth, sometimes we need to hear some hard truths. And we need to be challenged in our thinking to propel us onto the next level of growth. So don't hold it all into your into yourself. I mean, like you, I do meditation and breathing exercises, and I make sure I get out every day. And what I've noticed over time is that it's amazing by the end of a day or a week, we think we haven't achieved much, but it's amazing what you can achieve if you do it 365 days in a row. Suddenly this small thing on a daily basis can become something that you have created and around your health. Or, I mean, when I was writing my book, I just decided that 3 nights a week I wasn't going to watch telly. So that would give me, say, 3 hours. So that was 9 hours a week. And I had my book written in 3 months. And so each day it didn't seem like I was getting through much because it was only 3 hours. And sometimes those 3 hours were just thinking. And so I had nothing to show for my time. But over the 3 months, the thinking put on paper and then discussed and then given to a publisher, and then it became something. But you also have to, there is sacrifice. You know, I had to give up watching telly, and there were times I had to sort of give up having nice conversations with my husband because the conversations were challenging. And, you know, so for any growth, that we have to face the shadow side as well.
So true, so true. And when you're working on any area in the wheel of life, for those who know all the different areas of life, generally you work more on one area and something's going to give somewhere else, and it's actually being okay with that too, and learning to balance that out with where you're at. You focus more on work, then, you know, family might give a little bit, or travel, or, you know, so really when it comes to reigniting the spark, and I think really this is the goal to a fantastic life, is to be in flow, to be in that spark, to have that spark with everything you do, have that passion. Really, I see spark as that inner passion, that love and lust for what you do. But that if money wasn't an issue, you'd be doing that thing, whatever that thing is. And, you know, I was actually in Moree just in the last week with my parents, and we went to this event called Moree on a Plate, and there were all these ukulele players at this festival, and it suddenly reignited my spark in wanting to play the ukulele again. And so sure enough, I went back to where we were staying. I got my ukulele out, which I just happened to take with me on the trip, and I played a song on there, and it was just, you know, and just brought so much joy. You know, whatever it is that really lights you up, do more of that. And notice what are those things for you that where time and space disappear. Because when we're in the heart chakra, when we get into that space, so that love space, the passion, time and space disappear, and we can keep talking about that topic until the cows come home, right? So you know, Ken and I get very passionate on this show and go off on tangents all the time with our passions, and that, you know, that's how you know you're in flow and you're loving your life. And the trick is, as much as possible, to do more of that. And sometimes it'll involve letting go of some things and training up other people, which might seem like a little bit of a grind initially, to train up other people, let go of parts of your life or business particularly that you may not be in flow. However, on a day-to-day basis, there's so much we can do to really enjoy life, I believe. And you're just noticing, what is it that lights you up? What is it that ignites your spark? In fact, let us know, those watching us right now. Thank you so much for all those joining us on the live, and for those watching the replay or listening to this on a podcast platform. Let us know in the comments, what is it that ignites your spark? What is it that makes you feel amazing when you do that thing? Or is it a way you're being? Is it being peaceful while meditating? Is it a way of being rather than a doing for you? What is it that really fills your cup up so that you can help others with the overflow? What is that for you? And it's, you know,
I want to share something real quick.
Chatting with you. Yes, Ken, over to you.
So I'm sorry. I heard a pause and I thought you were done, so I was like, but
that's
anyhow.
Okay. No, I'm just aware of the time because it's nearly an hour we've been chatting. So we'll start wrapping up.
Well, okay, then this will actually be perfect if I can remember all this. As you guys were talking, I was trying to look for my notes on it because I actually typed out the really nice illustration of it, but I think I can pull it up from my memory. So, and, you know, when you were talking about the story about your book and how you sacrifice little bits of time here and there and and sometimes when you would go, it would just be a session of thinking, and you didn't really feel like you did a lot during those sessions. So picture this. So, and for anybody in our audience today that might be struggling with the times where it just doesn't feel like you're moving forward, or maybe you have maybe you have that moment where just things aren't going right. You keep, falling out the horse, you keep, whatever it is. And you keep looking at those times where it's just like, man, I'm failing at this and I'm failing at this. And I fell off the horse here, da, da, da. But with this example, I'm going to encourage you to look at the times that you are more successful. So with this, I'm going to talk about the person that's on a weight loss journey. So here we go. So hopefully I can get this whole thing the way I want it. So you've got a person that embarks on a weight loss journey. This person begins. Okay. Day 1 goes great. Day 2 goes great. Day 3 goes great. Day 4 goes great. Day 5, they're having a little bit of struggle, but they make it through. Day 6. Day 6, they get home from work. They've had that hard day. They're stressed out. They eat an entire large pizza. All to themselves. Well, at the end of the evening, the weight of that hits them. And they just, the self-chatter starts, but they make it through it. They're just like, okay, you know what? I failed, but I'm going to keep going. Day 7, day 8, day 9, day 10. On day 10, they fall again. All right. So now they've fallen twice so far, right? All right. So they fall again on day 10. And you see that person that fell again on day 10. Now, if that person has a fixed mindset, that person is just like, oh, crap. See, this doesn't work. I keep failing. I keep falling. I can't get through this. I can't do this, and da-da-da-da. Okay. And maybe they make it to day 15 or whatever, and then fall again. So we've got 3 times. But they're still beating themselves up. They still don't see themselves being able to make it. They're constantly looking at the failure. All right. So we're 15 days in and 3 falls. All right. Now let's change this a little bit. Let's look at this from the angle of a person with a growth mindset. Let's say there's a 60 period block of time. Let's say within that 60-day period, let's say that person fell 3 more times during that journey. So now that's a total of what? 6 times they've fallen in 60 days. What the fixed mindset person is going to look at is a fixed mindset person is going to be fixated on this number 6. The growth mindset person is going to be fixated on the 54 days that he was successful.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Well,
Nice one, Ken. I love that. Now I don't feel so bad about eating that whole pizza the other day.
yeah.
Actually, I didn't. But now, as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, a pizza would be nice, actually.
Yeah. The power of suggestion. That's another lesson. We could do a whole topic on the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that was awesome. I love that, Ken. I love how powerful that is, how often do we criticize ourselves for the things we haven't done rather than actually acknowledging ourselves for the things that we have done in all areas of life, right? That was a great example around food, because it's something I'm sure everyone can relate to at some point, where we've wanted to tone up a bit and we have that bit of chocolate cake. I'll just have a little bit. I'll just have a little bit more. Right? And this is where buffets can be dangerous. I'll just have a little bit of this, a little bit of
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So self-control is back to self-discipline, right? Self-discipline, and actually keeping a clear goal in mind as well. I think, how much do you really want that goal, whatever that is in your life, right? If you really want to tone up and lose 10 kilos or shed 10 kilos or whatever it is, if you really want that badly enough, you'll do whatever it takes, right? It's like, you know, some people say, oh, I don't have money for anything. But if you had to come up with $1 million or your child would be killed, you would come up with $1 million in 24 hours or your child would be killed. You just make it happen, right? So how much do you really want it? You know, whatever that is for you, right? How much do you want it and what are you prepared to do to make it happen? Or, you know, who are you prepared to enroll? You know, it might not be about what to do, it might be about who to connect with. It could be one great connection that could just shift things for you. However, it starts with that willingness, with actually being clear and really clear on what you want for your life and how do you want that to look, and actually taking 100% responsibility for everything in it, and actually, you know, taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and, you know, being prepared for that roller coaster ride of life. You know, strap yourself in on that roller coaster ride and enjoy the journey. That's what I'm taking on. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy, because there's always going to be challenges, and actually embracing those challenges. Back to the start of our conversation here, embracing the challenges in life and appreciating yourself on the journey and acknowledging yourself. And I'm sure everyone watching this or listening, I'm sure you could look back at your life and you could actually list, I'm sure, a whole page of things. At least you could just write down a whole page of things where you go, well, look at all the achievements that you've actually, you know, achieved through your life. They could be from the smallest things to the biggest things. There are lots of things I'm sure you could acknowledge yourself for. And so just notice if you're being hard on yourself, if you're speaking badly to yourself, if you're calling yourself an idiot, or, you know, you're actually saying good on you, or, you know, how do you speak to yourself? And this is the thing, hurt people, back to that again, right? So do whatever it takes to, you know, to be your own best friend, as Ben Harvey says, or do whatever it takes to love your life, love yourself, and then that will flow on to others. So Anne, any final words on this topic? And we after that we'll find out, you know, how we can work with you, and any favorite quotes you have as well. We'll wrap up with that as well. But just any other final thoughts about the truth about reigniting your spark for this episode?
Yeah, I think just to wrap up, it's about having to try and reignite that spark every day. And that's something that you feel passionate about. Take off the mask, stop trying to please everybody else, really look at what does your ideal day look like, who would be there with you on, you know, who's your cheerleading squad, where could you get some help, what feeds you and uplifts you. And I actually have you can download a free copy of the book from my website, and it's actually a workbook as well. So there's a bit of my story in there, but then there's a whole heap of questions, and that might just, for anyone that's listening, trigger ideas of where you're at, and I give some suggestions to try and things in there. So I'd like to offer that to people as a starting point.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anne. And that website is Anne McKeown. McKeown. AnneMcKeown.com. So it's ANNEMCKEOWN McKeown. And McKeown.com, you'll find that there. And we also have your LinkedIn link here, which will pop into the chat here, which is linkedin.com/IN/Anne-McKeown-2, the number 2, and then MPOWER. We'll pop that one there, and then also your Facebook link here. So if you look up, I'm sure your name's quite unusual with the surname like that. So I'm sure if people Google you too, they'll find a heap in there as well.
Yeah. So, and if I can just mention one last thing, actually, just as you're talking through my website and stuff, the name of my business is 2Empower Coaching, and the 2 M's in that are my daughters Maris and Megan. Because I was so aware that I was telling them, you know, they were going to a good school, getting a good education, you can do whatever you want in the world. But at home, I wasn't projecting that as their mother. And so it was about becoming more of a role model and a play on 2Empower. But if you can find something, days when I thought, oh, this isn't going to work, I can't do this, who's going to come to me? And I'm all that negative self-talk, I kept thinking, oh, but I've told my girls I'm doing this, and I would need to be a good role model for them. And they were my kind of purpose for staying on track. So I think that's another thing is, Simon Sinek says, find your why. For me, it was partly to find inner happiness, but it was also to be a role model for my girls. So I think for each of you, if it's your weight loss journey with Ken, then it's about so you can run around the garden with your grandkids, or you can go on a flight and be comfortable, or whatever the reason is. Have something bigger than yourself that keeps you going. Because often when I was ready to give up, and then they'd be like, "Oh, how was work today, Mum?" And we used to have this wee sign where if things were going well, I would do a thumbs up. We'd start like this, and then if things weren't going well, I'd do a thumbs down. And then they would at school, they would do the same, and they'd come in and they'd give a thumbs down, and it helped them realize that adults struggle too. And that parents don't know everything, and it helped me be able to have a more mature relationship with them.
Yeah, I love that. And be committed, not attached, as they say in Landmark. Be committed to what you do, not attached to how that's going to look. And absolutely, I would agree. Have a purpose that's bigger than yourself. Have a strong why. Or look up Simon Sinek's video on why, the power of why. It's very, very, very important. And your Instagram link as well, we've got in here, Instagram.com/Anne McKeown. Anne _McKeown _life coach. You'll find that there. Or just Google Anne McKeown. You'll find it. McKeown in there. Thank you so much, Anne. It's been absolutely awesome. We've got Nick here. Hello, Nick. Hi, Aldwyn listeners. I'm not sure what today's topic was, but it sounds like it was to do with reigniting your passion. Yes, it was indeed. I recall from Tony Robbins' days that state is everything. Yes, Nick, absolutely. Being in the right state of mind with a positive can-do focus makes a world of difference, on top of incantations, programming the subconscious attitude of gratitude, and all the good stuff we are familiar with. Yes, thank you so much, Nick, for that comment. Love your work there. That's through LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Nick Elflet, for that comment. And do keep the comments coming. What is it that ignites the spark for you? Let us know. What is it for you that ignites your spark or reignites your spark? Or what is it that you'd like to reignite that maybe you've forgotten about or haven't done for a while? And I love the kayaking, Anne. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I love anything to do with the water. I love ocean swims. For me is something absolutely that reignites my spark. And I actually get cravings for it. If I haven't been in the ocean for a while and had a swim, I do definitely crave it. And same with yoga is something else that I really crave. And I do notice when I don't do it for a while, I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Anne. We'll come over to Ken, and then we'll come back to you, Anne, with your favourite quote or motto for the day. We'll come back in just a moment. But firstly, Ken, how can people connect with you, my friend?
Well, the easiest way to do it is through my link tree, and I'm just going to draw your attention to the first 3 links in my link tree. One is my calendar on my link tree. This way you can book an appointment with me. You want to find out maybe how I can help you or whatever. That first appointment is absolutely 100% free. And I promise you, I do not hard sell people. You either want it bad enough or you don't. So, and then there is a link in there to my Facebook group. It's a growing Facebook community group that I have going on in there right now. And I'm about to approach the 60 number in that group. Really, really happy about that. Join my Facebook group. Hey, it's free to join. What do you have to lose except for a couple pounds here and there? And lastly is my website. So masteryweightloss.com. That is my website. You can go on there. You can check me out there. You can also find my podcast on there and everything else. And there is a masterclass that is evergreen running on my website as well that you can sign up for. It's free. I will say, the masterclass that's running right now, I mean, it's great. It's wonderful, but I'm getting ready to actually update it as well because that masterclass is about 1.5 years old, and the knowledge and research and deep dives that I've done have given me much, much more richer knowledge since the last time I did that. So I want to update that masterclass with great stuff, but feel free to check it out. It's free. That's it. Otherwise, that's how you can connect with me. And for those who are listening by audio, my link tree is www.anne linktr.ee/FatFighterKen.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ken. And I love the way you've taken action and you haven't worried about it being perfect, right? Don't let perfection get in the way of progress as well, my friends.
Thank you.
Okay. So, just take some action, whatever action. 100% of taking action imperfectly is better than 0% taking action perfectly, right? With anything you do. So just notice again if you're being hard on yourself there, my friends. Some fantastic links there at Ken's Linktree. And for those who want to connect with me, all my links are at linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. ALDWYN. And something we have every month is a Global Good News Challenge. This is a practice where you can share gratitude and good news, and you will definitely feel amazing after doing it. And so will the people who see your good news challenges. So all the details are pinned to the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. We have a 5-day challenge going for May, being the 5th month. So 5 days in a row. I actually started mine last night. I started my day 1 of 5. So you'll be seeing some more live videos coming out the next 4 days. And then for June, we have a 6-day challenge, being the 6th month, etc. And it goes on from there. And very simple challenge is share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news on any social media platform of your choice. Just hashtag Global Good News Challenge. We will then share your challenge out to thousands of people, and we'll add you to a private Global Good News Challenge Facebook group as well, so you can hang out with other good news crusaders. Your environment is so important, right? You want to hang out with people who have this growth mindset, as we've been talking about here. And we also have, a lot of events that we do, etc. So just connect on the Linktree. If you want to book a call with me as well, my calendar link is in there. I help people get free publicity and mass media exposure. So if you're ready to be seen, be heard, step up and step out and make a bigger difference in the world, then please connect. I would love to chat with you. Thank you so much. And we're going to wrap up today with our favorite quote or motto that we like to live by. And what is one for you?
For me, it's nothing will change if you change nothing.
I love that. Nothing will change if you change nothing. Beautiful. Thank you, Anne. And Ken?
I'm going to give you 2. So one, I don't know where this came from, but it's on my wall. You cannot hope for motivation for the day. You must be intentional about it. Start your day with intention. And then the last one here, I'm pulling this from this lovely little book. This is kind of a fun book. So if you kind of want like a fun little book to kind of get into a little bit for little basic daily readings, this is a really good book. I am not even going to try to pronounce this person that quoted this. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name because I will slaughter the crap out of it. But I'm going to do this quote because I think it applies for today. Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing.
Oh, I love it. That is really cool. And for me and Tiger today, this is my beautiful putty cat Tiger, who's just been wanting to walk on my laptop the whole way through this show. So he's adorable. He's 15, and that's one way I reignite the spark in my life, is connecting with my beautiful putty cat Tiger, and just taking a moment and connecting with nature as well. And so my favorite quote is by Gandhi, and it's "Be the change you wish to see in the world." That's absolutely my favorite quote. And another one, I'll give you one more from Margaret Mead, a bonus one on this is very important too. A small group of thoughtful people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So thank you to Margaret Mead for that. Thank you to all the change makers, the truth seekers, the truth speakers out there. It's been an absolute pleasure having you join us today on the Total Truth Show. Any final words, Anne or Ken, before we wrap up today?
I would just like to say thank you. I love what you guys are doing. I think open, honest conversation is so important. It starts with ourselves. And then when we're truthful with ourselves, we can be truthful with others. And so I wish you every success in your endeavor. And thank you to those who have tuned in. I hope you found it helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anne. It's been an absolute pleasure having you as our guest here today. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And I wish you every success as well in your business and in your life moving forward as well. And maybe one day I'll come and join you kayaking in Sydney. That'll be fun. So let's see. We'll keep you posted on socials if that happens. Okay, so good night, or good day, wherever you are right now. Nick's saying Archimedes managed it with just a lever. Okay, Nick, thank you. Just a lever. Yes, leverage is so important in life. Thank you so much for joining us. Please connect on all our links that we've shared with you, and we'll see you again very soon here on the Total Truth Show. Bye for now. Thanks again, Anne. Bye.